Please join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the February 10 POA board meeting. Paul is on vacation. He'll be back for our annual meeting, which reminds me, February 20, right?
22nd.
February 22nd is our annual meeting here at the Clubhouse in the basement. We have seating room for 100 or more, so lots of folks are welcome to attend that. It will be live streamed, so you can see it online as well. Okay. So then we'll move straight to announcements. Clear Creek, Dwayne?
Dwayne Kelly, 282. The only thing I have is our meeting this month is Thursday, the 20th at 10 o'clock in our conference room.
Thank you, sir. Floyd Township Fire Department, Jeff.
Jeff Brooks, Floyd Township Fire Department. I'm gonna make this short because I got a welfare check to go do. 46 runs for the month of January. That is by far the busiest month, considering we had no trees in the road, no debris in the road. That was 34 medical runs for the month of January out of the 46 we had.
Busy.
Have a nice meeting.
Thank you, sir. Good night. Hellnack, Donna.
No.
Oh, excuse me. HLCS, no report. Now Donna.
You did that on purpose.
Yeah.
I just wanted to report, we had the Welcome Aboard event and on January 25th, and it turned out really well. We had over 50 people attending, new residents, which was wonderful. And then we had 10 volunteers, and we had Rick representing HLCS and the board, and some other guest speakers, and everybody just had really good things to say about being indoctrinated into the club, and we had pass outs for them with a listing of what's in the telephone, not the telephone, it's the, whatever it is now, resource directory.
Yeah.
That's what I like to call it. Anyway, it went over really well. The only feedback we got was that they wanted more time to mix and mingle, because everybody was having such a good time, they wanted to stay a little bit longer and get to know each other, so.
Ken and Benny were there too. Gave out a wealth of information. I thought the meeting was amazing. Thank you.
Oh, good, good. Well, we're planning on doing another one. We're gonna talk about the timing. January seemed to be a little quick to try and get all of the new residents through December, because a lot of them don't move in that quickly, and then we don't have the right addresses. So we're talking about maybe moving it to February or March, but no later than that of next year. So we'll have information as that comes out. HLNAC is going to be sponsoring a healthy cooking class in April, and it's going to be put on by one of our members of the POA, Sherry Morgan. It's going to be 2 separate sessions in April, and we're going to get a flyer into the highlights and also some information on Facebook as soon as we have more details. Excuse me. The only other thing that we have is the Easter egg hunt is coming up on April 12th. We're going to need candy donations as well, and we'll get a flyer into the highlights also in March. Thank you, Rick. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Donna. Security, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Sheriff's Department, Tom Sutherland.
Tom Sutherland, Chief Deputy, Putnam County Sheriff's Office. We were up here 46 times on 46 different runs. Here in your community, 2 of the highlights was administrative or signal 30, and most of those were deputies in the overnight hours trying to run radar. Here in your community, they're not making stops because they're not catching people speeding, late at night. But most of it is our overnight shift guys coming up here and patrolling. So those were 10 calls, and then lockout of public assistance, people either locking their keys in their car or title checks or something like that. I will tell you that our deputies made 26 traffic stops around the lake this month. So I think 10 less than what it was last month, but it's still pretty significant amount of traffic time up here. So, any questions for me?
Probably the only thing I would add is, to Benny's point, we talked the other day, if you could pass on not to overlook the commercial vehicles, the construction vehicles, vans and so forth. They seem to have a heavy foot around here.
Unless they have green grass on the side. Especially, the green grass trucks don't have speed limits, so just go ahead and just, if you see this, just go ahead and pretend you don't see it.
Nice try, Bucko.
Well, when we put the memo out, it was run traffic and make traffic stops around the lake. We didn't pick and choose who we're gonna stop. It's not specifically, if they have a Heritage Lake address, you gotta stop it. Absolutely not. It's, if that vehicle is speeding, it doesn't matter who's driving it, what type of vehicle it is, it needs to be stopped and slowed down.
Police over.
Appreciate
But if you want us to start targeting the landscape people, we can do that.
You already got my wife, don't worry.
Thank you, Tom.
Any other questions, concerns?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me back up because I skipped over Neighborhood Watch. Ken?
Yeah, I just was reading this for April Lynn. She stated it's been cold and quiet here at the lake until the past Saturday, February 8th. The 8th annual Gold Bowl Chili Cook-Off brought the heat. It's hot and loud in the entries. 13 chilies were entered. 80 members supported the event, voted for the People's Choice. 3 judges voted the Judge's Choice. Hope I don't butcher any of these names. The People's Choice first place was Gina Basham. Second place was Adam Badnick. Third place was Krista Kabrick. The Judge's Choice first place was Gina Basham. Second place was Adam Badnick. And third place was Rick Olson. A huge thank you to all the Neighborhood Watch captains and the Heritage Lake supporters of this event. Without you, we could not make this event successful. Thank you, April Land.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Presentation of agenda. Any additions or changes?
I'd like to add new business B, the fishing tournament for 2025. I put that in front of everybody. So.
And I have Dennis's proxy for
You do?
fighting.
Okay.
And somebody has Nina's, I think. Okay. All right, then presentation of minutes for the January 13 board meeting and 27th operations meeting.
Move to accept the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, treasurer's report. Since Dennis is on vacation in the sunshine, I have the numbers from him. January income was $104,559. January expenses, $102,261 for net income of $2,298. Available cash, $199,830. So that brings us to board committee reports. Dennis is here, so I have no A&E report.
I have it for him.
Do you have it?
Yes, I do.
Good.
For 2024, 63 houses were approved, 2 additions,
How many?
63. 1 attached garage, 16 detached garages, 12 docks, 6 boat lifts, 3 permanent covered boat lifts, 3 fences, 37 non-waterfront fences, 11 decks, 1 gazebo, 4 roof extensions, 1 pool, 1 sunroom, and 1 porch. As of 2025, we have 5 new houses, 1 deck expansion, 2 non-waterfront fences, 1 pool and waterfront fence, a roof over new decking and stairs, a pergola, and waterfront fence, and 1 roof extension as of 2025.
Thank you. Campground, no report, Rick?
No.
Cleanup, no report? Government, Rick Olson?
Rick Olson, 51 Mill Springs. Got a few things this month. I approached at the January 21st Commissioners meeting, I approached the commissioners about the possibility, and it's in the very preliminary stages, of potentially putting a pedestrian trail adjacent to Heritage Drive. The county owns about 60 feet of right-of-way, I understand, at Heritage Drive, so it would be possible to put that in there within existing right-of-way without buying any, I shouldn't say buying any property, but for the most part. So I just approached them to make sure they didn't see any red flags with that, any major issues, and they did not. They thought it was a good idea because it was mentioned in the local road safety action plan that they came up with in 23 that the lack of walkability at Heritage Lake was not good. So they the only question or major question they had was whether the trail would be open to the public. And since it's on county right of way, I said, yeah, for the most part it will. I said there may be places where it's not, but I would think it would still be public because it would be difficult to, obviously, to control it. So that went well. During the last commissioners meeting on February the 4th, Clint Maddox mentioned that they're talking about buying a couple more mowers. So that's a good thing, hopefully. We've had a lot of problems with brush blocking signs and just making roadways very narrow in some places because the brush tends to creep out over the roads. So hopefully that'll actually double their capacity for mowers, and hopefully that'll help. The only other thing is not good news. The county has a really tight budget this year for road repairs. Big surprise there. So there, as of right now, there are no improvements planned for Heritage Lake area. And when I say Heritage Lake, I mean at the lake itself. I don't know about, I haven't seen the list, so there may be some surrounding roads that are improved. But so as of right now, we won't be seeing any. So any questions?
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks.
Lake Committee, I have no report. Clean Water, no report. Long-term planning, no report. Siltation, no report.
Meet again until March.
No report. Election, no report. And that brings us to manager's report.
All right, just something real quick. I don't have a whole lot. Just like to give you all a quick update on the remodeling at the activity center restrooms. The cutting out of the concrete to add additional water lines has been completed. The 2 additional new inside restrooms, the inside walls have been drywalled and painted with new lighting. The sinks and toilets have been purchased and are ready for installation. The permanent outside restrooms are completely gutted with and under new construction. Our outside women's restroom will have an additional stall totaling 3. The men, 3's correct, right? We try to stick in 4.
2 stalls, 2 urinal. Or women's or men's?
Women.
3.
3, okay. Totaling 3. The men will have an additional stall and an additional urinal. Inside rooms should be complete within the next 2 weeks, and the outside at least by the first part of May. The assessments were calculated at the end of January. This year amount is $313. I explain this every year, that this is calculated by the CPI index and based off the economy. The POA has absolutely nothing to do or nothing to say about the amount that is projected. It's all through the CPI. Assessment statements have been mailed. The amount is due anytime before April 30th. At May 1st at 8 a.m., when the doors open, interest and late fees apply. Your payment can be mailed in, phoned in, dropped off at the night drop at the front door. Also, the month of March and through April 26th, for 8 consecutive weeks, the office alters the office hours and is open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon. So we have about all your needs covered. Finally, the SOM financial numbers for the month of January, the lease amount to the POA was a flat rate of $2,500. The sales are low at the restaurant this time of year, and that's consistent with the last 3 years for the month of January. That's it. Thank you.
The only thing I would add, excuse me, is a reminder to everyone that April 1st is when the watercraft operating permit and the boat registration stickers expire. So keep that date in mind. Okay. Okay, assistant manager's report.
I'm going to make him work this month.
Yep.
Finally. So Ken had asked me to put together kind of a quick list of some of the things that we're seeing out in the community when it comes just to overall, I'll say, property violations. So since I started in August and through, I'll say, the first week of February, there have been a total of 125 property violations in which we've given notification to the property owner. Through 2024, 93 of those have been resolved and about 105 through January. In January, there was 12 property violations as well, which went recorded. For the most part, pretty good response to that, right? Nobody wants a letter in the mail saying, hey, you got something to clean up. But I think a lot of times people are very understanding, and if they have questions, they come in, and we've had good conversation and I think walk away both parties pretty happy. The main things that we really see, inoperative or unregistered vehicles, abandoned vehicles, things along those lines. We see a lot of those sitting around without tags or obvious damage to the vehicle. So to date, there have been 21 vehicles that have either been removed from Heritage Lake or put back into operating status. The next thing is we see a lot of like miscellaneous items stored next to garages. So I'll say bikes, but then bags of mulch, bricks, stone, mowers, indoor items, just a bunch of odd stuff that usually should be inside of the garage. And so quite unsightly. Sheds. So that is one. Right now, it's really easy to see sheds. And one of the main things that's new is popping up are like these canvas sheds here on the side. And so, gang, if you haven't had a letter about your canvas shed yet, I promise it's coming. And then also, I've always called these like outdoor closets, but just like the Rubbermaid, Tupperware type things. Seeing a lot of those and reaching out to people about that. So just keep an eye open for them. And then the next favorite is probably, don't see a lot of it, but we have seen chickens and then goats. So that's been my favorite, walking around the corner and being met in the face with a goat. That's no longer here. But just let people know we are.
You really take care of business.
It was the pile of manure that really told on them. But
We literally walked outside a house on their deck.
that's more or less how it happened. Yes.
That's a pretty good invitation.
And I bet there was 30 chickens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyways, just let people know what we're out there doing and seeing, and just kind of continue to do so. That's all I had.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that moves us to old business. First item is titled on the agenda Airbnb locations, but the way this POA sees that is not just Airbnb, it's short-term rentals in general. So with that, I think, Alyssa, are you prepared to present?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so this has been something that's been well discussed by the board, and we have kind of evaluated the situation and come to our position moving forward on this. And I'll give a little bit of an outline of our position and kind of how we got there, and then our proposed new rule or bylaw that we would vote for here moving forward. So it's the board's position that short-term rentals are prohibited here at Heritage Lake. And our definition of a short-term rental is defined as a rental of any home or part of a home for a consecutive time period of 90 days or less. And this may include rentals advertised by such websites as Airbnb, VBRO, but also includes those that are privately advertised. And this is based essentially on an overview of our covenants. So as long as our covenants from our position prohibit this, then we prohibit it. So the HLPOA covenants expressly prohibits any business, commercial, or manufacturing enterprise. And our position, the board's position, that short-term rentals constitute a commercial enterprise and are therefore in violation of our covenants. And again, our position is based on a review of applicable Indiana case law that supports ordinances and bylaws in different communities that prohibit short-term rentals on the basis that they do not align with permitted single-family residential use, along with a thorough analysis of the intended uses of our residential properties. So our intended uses of residential properties here are not to have short-term rentals. Our intended uses here were to have individuals own property and be able to utilize the lake with their families, and not to have those properties be rented out. So that was the intent of the developers and all subsequent boards. So when we review the case law and we review the intent of the framers of this community and every board since, that's in line with the prohibition of short-term rentals. But overall, and most importantly, that is also in line with our current covenants. So at this point, any residential property, well, as long as we move forward and pass this bylaw that we're gonna present, our position as a board, we're gonna have the residential properties that are defined or identified to us as a short-term rental of 90 days or less. The HLPOA board and property managers will take the following actions. First, the property manager will investigate the claim. So Ken and Benny will investigate the claim that a certain property is advertised on VBRO or Airbnb or is operating as a short-term rental. And secondly, a cease and desist letter will be sent out to that listed property owner and ask them to stop utilizing that property as a short-term rental. And then third, if that's not followed, then we will proceed with appropriate legal action through our attorney. I think importantly for the community to know is that we are not selectively enforcing short-term rentals and ignoring the enforcement of other prohibited businesses, commercial or manufacturing enterprises. We can't specifically target or selectively enforce one specific thing. It's just at this point, the board is taking action on short-term rentals because it's been brought to our attention as something that's a significant problem. We heard the issues around Christmas time. We've heard issues from other individuals about short-term rentals that are detrimental to the community, that are affecting people in their daily lives and affecting their quiet enjoyment of their property here. And that's outside the scope of our desire for what our community is. So that's why we are proceeding with this action. If anybody else ever has a business, commercial enterprise, or manufacturing enterprise that is a problem, absolutely come to the board and we'll investigate that claim. So I just want to make it clear that this is not selective enforcement. This is just an ongoing issue that was brought to the board's attention, so we're taking action on it. This is not ignoring anything else that may be happening throughout the community. So in line with that and in line with our covenants, The proposed additional bylaw would be the following, be that the short-term rental of any residence or portion of any residence is prohibited. And short-term rentals are defined as the rental of any residence or portion of a residence for a term of less than 90 consecutive days. Again, this won't affect any rentals that are longer than 90 consecutive days, because that's not what a short-term rental is, and that's not the concern. People who rent around the community for longer periods of time, they integrate in the community, they're more involved, they're more part of the community, and are more cohesive and in line with what our intentions are than short-term rentals, so those aren't a concern.
So, just so I can be clear, are you proposing that this is a new rule for bylaws or general rules?
Well, I think it would be general rule, but I think it was perhaps you that had indicated it may be included as a bylaw. I think it's a general rule.
I think it's a general rule.
Okay, so that would be the position, that it's a
Okay.
general rule.
Okay. So, as you read it, the short-term rentals rule addition, is that a motion?
That would be a motion. I move to incorporate the short-term rental rule that I just read as part of our general rules.
I second.
Is there any further discussion?
Is this a two-vote situation
Yes.
for these kind of
Yes.
rule changes?
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
All right, so then, all in favor of the new general rule? I think that carried. Thank you. And speaking of general rules, next item, Ken, is general rule for hunting.
This has been discussed, and you guys asked Benny and I to come up with some verbiage, and we bounced it off of Alyssa. So I'll read this out loud. To ensure the safety of all Heritage Lake residents and guests, there will be no hunting, trapping, target practice, discharge of firearms, and/or archery equipment, including any instrument with projectile capabilities, are not allowed within Heritage Lake waters, shoreline, common properties, and all private lots within Heritage Lake community. Per Indiana Code 335-47-1-5A, firearms means any weapon. One, that is A, capable of expelling, or B, designed to expel, or two, that may readily be converted to expel a projectile by means of an explosion. So that's what we come up with, and you still stand
Yes.
okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. The only thing that and Dwayne may add, during our visit to the Clear Creek Conservancy, they had expressed interest in having Clear Creek property also included in this. Am I correct, Dwayne?
Can we amend that can we put that in our
I don't think we
rules?
need to. I think it's just something that they would adopt if we did.
Okay, I didn't know if that was something we needed to voice as,
I thought they asked that.
Yeah.
We, Clear Creek Conservancy is also going down to the back sides of our property, and we're gonna do some purple paint and some signage, because there is, I don't think there is any signage back there, no trespassing or anything. So people could hunt back in there and walk on us and not really realize it. So we're gonna do some signage down there at the back of our property too.
So could, at the end of the first paragraph where it says private lots within Heritage Lake, to include Clear Creek Conservancy property?
I don't know if I would add it in there, but maybe a subscript that Clear Creek has adopted the same rules.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a reference is fine, but I don't think we can make rules for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if we needed to do that before we go for it. I just wanted to make sure we didn't need to put an asterisk in there that says Clear Creek's properties, because they're within Heritage Lake, because they own the lots and whatnot.
Now, in our last board meeting, and we published this in the highlights minutes as well, we actually requested the public, or the general public of Heritage Lake, to give us feedback on this if they had any. There might be someone here. So if you want to, you can speak now.
Okay. I'm Margaret Wills from 280 Lincoln Hills. My husband Christopher and I are here this evening with a few other supporters to oppose the absolute ban on hunting and archery target practice within Heritage Lake. We are 19-year residents of Heritage Lake and are both avid hunters and enjoy shooting archery targets in our yard. We both pride ourselves on being good stewards of the land, which includes proper deer herd management. Over the past several years, we have obtained permission from several Heritage Lake residents to hunt their private lots as well as our own lots, where we have safely taken several deer from these properties. While these creatures are amazing and beautiful to watch walk through your yards, they also pose a danger on our roadways if their numbers get too high. The occurrence of auto collisions and increased property damage with deer and other wildlife will increase as their herd grows. The likelihood of serious injury and possible death of our residents will increase as well with these collisions. We would like to see more discussion of some options of allowing hunting and archery target practice with some ground rules and some guidance from the board first, before we just have it shut down completely. There are many intelligent hunters and archery enthusiasts that live here amongst us. Please give us a chance to be heard and consider all of the positives and negatives before concluding that our rights as landowners and property taxpayers should just be stripped away. I would also like to clear up a couple of misunderstandings about state law regarding discharging of a weapon or hunting near a residence. According to Indiana Code, 312, Indiana Code 9-2-12, hunting and fishing and the discharge of firearms and bow and arrows within 200 feet of a property administered by the department doesn't necessarily have to do with private residence. I know it was stated, I think Benny and I and my husband talked in November about there being stipulations about certain distances from homes. I think you had mentioned 150 yards, which upon researching, the only thing I can find for 150 yards only pertains to, developed recreation sites, including trails within the Hoosier National Forest. So I think that just concludes it. We'd just like to have a chance to be heard before you guys just shut it down and say no hunting at all.
And target practice.
And target practice.
Archery especially.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other discussion before I entertain a motion? Okay. Is there a motion then on this? I don't hear one. Okay.
I'd like to talk about it some more. I'm not 100%, I'm not 100% on board to ban archery target practice. Not because I'm an archer or a hunter of any variety, or could I care less, but guns absolutely should not be fired off in Heritage Lake, period, end of story. There's no safe place to shoot a gun at Heritage Lake.
I kill moles with a shotgun. I discharge a shotgun, 20 gauge shotgun directly into the ground. It's one of the most effective ways to kill a mole.
Well,
And
I'm trying to hear you out.
I typically let my neighbors know if they're outside that I'm firing the hole.
I know, but I'm just saying, I'm trying to hear you out. What I'm
Okay.
saying is that there might be some middle ground, because you might be smart enough to handle a 20 gauge shotgun in your backyard to kill a mole. But just the blanket statement that firearms are okay at the lake
I agree with you
is
on that term as far as recreational
is a broad
shooting
thing.
is
And I'm not a law person. Alyssa's our law person.
Okay.
You know, but that's just my personal thing. I think it seems like we need to talk about this a little bit more.
Well, without a motion, there is no need for further discussion. So unless there's a motion, we'll move on.
So, does this get,
I move that we table it till next meeting,
I second that.
because we table it, we can talk about it some more. There's no up or down, it's just let's table it till next meeting.
So we have a motion to table. All in favor? Okay, that motion is approved. Thank you.
I would ask for more community input.
That's fine.
Just reiterate that.
Since it didn't pass, can I still shoot the Canadian geese off my deck now?
Until I get a report about it.
Well, I know, it's late at night. It's some of the guys that are naked up here.
They're delicious.
Okay, well, thank you for the discussion. I appreciate it. Next item is the covenant complaint. We have an update. We did get a response from the court. We'll be publishing that for you. But basically, the judgment is that this board of directors shall conduct a vote of members to approve or disapprove the amendments to the restrictive covenants that we have requested the court's approval for. So, they didn't give us any specific time for when that vote must occur, but they were fairly specific on the rules of that vote. And basically, they will be, as my interpretation or understanding is, the vote will be, or will follow generally the same rules that we have used in the past, and that is one vote per property. And the exception that the court was specific on is there is no quorum requirement, so that vote will be determined by a simple majority of the votes that were cast or are cast. We've talked about in the board here since we got that, the timing. We think that timing is going to be in the vicinity of April or May this year. We want to avoid any confusion with documents coming from the board for dues mailings and voting mailings. So you'll see announcements well in advance of when you need to vote on that complaint, and you'll get a mailing with a ballot. So that's the status. Any questions? Okay. All right. New business Clubhouse boardwalk. The Community Foundation has offered to the POA that they raise funds to build a boardwalk along the Clubhouse beach over the riprap that can be used for walking or fishing or for temporary boat tie-ups during things like concerts and other public events. We have lots of different reports of people twisting ankles, breaking bones, getting off of their pontoon onto the beach when they tie up there. So it would be an attractive addition to the beach and a good safety feature as well. What I'm looking for is a motion from this board to approve Heritage Lake Community Foundation doing a fundraiser for that project. It's not in the POA budget, and I can tell you the cost is estimated, thank you Ken, at $7,500. The fundraising goal by the foundation would be $10,000 so that we can accumulate funds to support maintenance of that dock for at least a couple of years after. So I'm looking for a motion from this board to approve foundation fundraising.
So moved, I moved to do that.
Thank you.
As requested.
Thank you.
Second.
And we have a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? And it's carried, and thank you. I have a flyer, I've put some out on the desk that describes the donation website page that you can go to give a tax-deductible donation for that cost. Thank you. That brings us to our last item, new business, bass fishing tournaments.
Okay, this was brought to me later on today. That's why I threw it on the agenda at the last moment. I've made copies for everybody. It's not much different from last year. There was one tournament dropped at night. There was 3 new ones added during the day. 2 of them I think are great ideas. One of the new ones was the Spring Classic on March 29th and March 30th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. The next 2 is May 3rd. It's a kids tournament, and these will be from daylight till about 1 p.m. And then the last one I thought was a really good idea. On July 5th, it'll be the morning from 8 to noon, a veterans tournament on the Independence Day weekend. We did speak a little bit about this, being if the weather was nice, gonna be some rough waters. I advised and they would entertain that maybe long about 10 o'clock when it got busy, maybe they divert to the coves. Other than that, my opinion, it looks fine compared to what we approved last year. All other tournaments are from daylight to 1 p.m. The nighttime tournaments are 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. So, any questions about it, or?
I did have one question, and this might be, Tyler might be able to answer this, because he's an avid fisher fellow. And this might just be a rules thing, but when you guys sit out in the high-speed areas, not inside the buoys, how do you want us as skiers and boaters to go around you? Because if you're in the north end and you're sitting in the middle, like the middle of the whole thing, do you want us to go between you and the shore? Or do you want us to cut around the back of you and go around the middle of the lake and come back in? And I'm only asking that question because I've gotten a finger from some people when we're skiing in the mornings, because slalom skiing is also the same great time to go fishing.
Absolutely.
People get pissed that we just keep our line going straight and you're out here fishing maybe towards the shore, back out, and we don't know where to go. And we get a lot of heat from people, and we don't know what's gonna piss you off less, because we're only gonna go by once or twice, but we're just trying to figure that out. And I've asked the lake committee, Lisa's on the lake committee with you guys, and I would love to have something with the fishermen to say, like, if you're gonna sit in the middle, in the high-speed area, we're gonna blow past you, and you're gonna have to just deal with it and not be mad about it. Because we're trying to be respectful and use the lake, but we don't know what to do. So if we knew as skiers and or if fishermen knew that, like, hey, maybe we need to be a little closer to the shore just so we can all coexist and be happy, that would be fantastic. Because I just feel like it becomes kind of a safety thing where we're trying to do something and you guys might be trying to do something and we just don't want to be in each other's way.
Right. Well, coming from myself, it don't really bother me. Like, if I'm sitting out in the middle of the lake, I don't own the lake, so people gonna come by me. People are gonna, they don't care that we're out there. Sure. And it don't bother me. I'm out there, I know there's gonna be waves. The only thing that I've really seen, like, if you're out in the middle, like you said, on the north side, and we're 200 yards off the shore, I mean, you guys have the right of way as long as you're not breaking the rules just as well as us. But I've had some instances where I'm fishing a point and I'm, say, 75 yards off the bank. And a lot of people don't know. I've watched people go between me and Bailey outside of the buoy and hit their motor on the bottom. They don't understand. There's a point there and it's shallow. It gets deeper. Yeah. And some of those buoys, I've even talked to a few people, like, they need to be moved out a little bit because I've even hit my boat. But when it comes to us just sitting out in the middle, I mean, as long as whoever's in the boat is not breaking a rule. I mean,
But the tournament guys are aware that people are gonna go past them at a high
Yes.
rate of speed, and they just know, they need to know to not be pissed.
right. I mean, if I was out there in my speedboat, because I have one too, I love having fun out there while it's warm out.
Sure.
Like, I'm gonna respect someone and not get 50 yards from them. I mean,
Yeah.
if I can go around, I'm gonna go around. I had a few people this past year, I mean, they were 50 yards. I'm throwing out there in the brush pile and they're going over my line. They took my whole school line. So, I mean,
Right.
there's a respect thing when you're out there fishing and trying to, speedboats out there trying to have fun too. I mean,
Yeah.
just, it's more of a, hey, I'm a little bit too close to that guy, let's,
I just didn't know if you had a point of view whether or not it's better to go around, like, come out towards the middle and try to go like belly around you.
yes, that would
Than it is to
probably be
maintain your line and go straight.
more- Right,
Because technically on the water, like the skier would have right away
yeah,
going straight, but same deal, this lake is tiny
yes.
and we need to all work together. So I'm just saying as like a point of interest for the camera and the people listening, would you prefer it if we went around the motor side of your boat? If you're fishing,
Probably,
even if
yes.
you've got somebody on the back fishing, would you
Yeah.
rather us go
Around.
motor side around?
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
But the same deal, if you're pointed,
right,
if you're pointed nose out towards the middle and your motor's towards the shore,
yep.
would you always just prefer us to be on the back end of
I
your boat?
prefer, if it was me and I'm out there fishing, I'd prefer someone just go around the deeper end of the water.
So stay in the deeper part of the lake as
Toward the
a
middle.
point of emphasis, no
Yes.
matter which way you're facing.
Yeah, that don't matter, I mean.
Stay to the wider, stay to the fatter side of the
Yep,
lake.
yep.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to know. I think the tournaments are great. I don't have a problem with the tournaments, I was just asking because you were here.
No, I appreciate it, yeah, awesome.
So can I get a motion to approve these bass tournament schedules?
Motion approved.
Second.
Linda, motion, and AJ, second. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that brings us to the open forum. I would just ask that anyone who has something they'd like to ask or share, that you do so respectfully. Stand and state your name and your lot number, and we'll listen to anything you may have to share. Mr. Beck from our county commissioners is here. Do you have anything for us?
Anyway, I just, want to, I'd just like to set a meeting up with Ken or whoever, so, myself and Clint can come over and go over some roads, whether, I'm glad Rick said we ain't gonna do anything, so that just gets me off the. But, no, I mean, anybody that wants to call me about anything, do so. My name and number's in the book. I'm not gonna pass out my cell phone number to everybody, but, about everybody has it anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. But, yeah, I mean, anything, and then Rick is right, we are planning on buying another, mower with a 22-foot boom on it, so we can really trim the trees, so if, I mean, as long as the guys come around, trim the trees, stay on the county right of way, I hope people know that they really don't have much say-so on what we cut down and what they don't like being cut down. But, anyway, that's all I had to say. I just, we do want to set up and try to check some stuff, so.
Yeah, just give me a time when you're available, and we'll all get together.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Donna?
Donna McGinley, 238 Mill Springs. Now, can you tell me the best way? I'd like to share this information on the hunting situation with a lot of my friends in groups. What is the best way to get feedback to the POA board?
I think the best way is to come to one of our meetings.
Okay.
And you can come to the monthly board meeting, this one, or the operations meeting that is the last Monday of every month. That's the absolute best time, because then you get us all face to face. But you can always call or email any one of us. And you can reach us if you don't have our contact information. You can reach us by calling the office.
Is there any group name, face, or way of reaching you by email? Is there an email listing of the board?
Well, there is the HLPOA at iendeavor.com. That one goes to the office and generally to Ken.
That's HLPOA@ccrtc.com.
Thank you, sorry.
A lot of my friends don't drive at night.
Yeah.
Coming to the board is gonna be difficult, so I think maybe just sending an email message would be easier.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine.
I want to add, since Don brought that up, that the hunting, the rule or no rule is going to be a controversial subject. And board members here, we're here to represent the overall integrity of HLPOA, not just individual preferences and such. So when we do, when you go out and have an idea, think about the community as a whole and how it's impacted as a whole, and how that impact's going to be long-term, not how it's going to affect me. And because that's how we look at it. And so look at it long-term and how it impacts the neighborhood as a whole.
I agree, Jeff. I had a good conversation with one of our POA members earlier today, and I shared some of my thoughts on it. And I think the problem we're trying to address with the hunting rule and the firearms and archery limitations that were in the recommended language, they address a disturbing number of careless people who live in our community. And the rest of us, pay for that when we go to make rules to keep everyone safe. But we worry about safety with these things. That's why we brought it up.
Yeah.
So there'll be plenty more discussion. Okay?
Well, I wanted to mention, last night there were gunshots, we thought were gunshots across the lake. And it's frightening when you're sitting there alone in your house and you hear gunshots, because I'm like, okay, somebody's shooting their wife or husband or, Anyway, you always think the worst anymore. So sometimes at night is not the best time to be shooting off. And especially my dog started shaking, then I started shaking because she was shaking. So, and then I noticed on Facebook this morning, there were a lot of people that mentioned it. Were those gunshots last night. So it's something that we have to think about that affects not only your next door neighbors, but people around the lake as well. So anyway.
Well, I can't confirm. Yeah, I can't confirm gunshots, but I know somebody had fireworks every time there was a score.
An hour and a half afterwards. It was before, during, and after, and I thought maybe it was somebody's scoring.
Yeah.
But again, it was kind of frightening because I was waiting for the sirens, and it's not a good thing necessarily at night.
Sure.
So anyway, I just want to get.
They were called out here last night.
I'm sure.
Richard?
Yeah, Rich Wallace, 259 Jessup Valley. I'm trying to catch up a little, Rick, on, you said the judge said that you're gonna send letters out or emails out, or what when you do this voting thing?
When we do the voting, we'll actually mail ballots to every member, like we have done for other elections.
And you're saying whatever comes in, percentage?
Whatever gets voted, whatever ballots get turned in and counted, then 50% of those ballots plus one will carry that vote.
It's a winner-take-all vote. It is not a 2/3 of the community vote. It's not a 700 votes or 1,000 votes. If 6 people vote, then it's whoever wins out of the 6, or 100 or 500 or 1,000 or whatever the number is.
Since, all I'm asking is, I believe it, if you don't vote, you don't bitch. I mean, that's the way I believe it. But that's what my dad told me. But are you gonna let these people that don't vote, let them know when they're, hey, if you don't vote, you don't count?
I suppose we can.
All these years we've done it.
Yeah.
All these years it's been, if you don't send in a no vote.
To that point, I think we will very specifically point out the rules of the vote.
Abstaining is not a no vote.
Because the judge.
Abstaining is not a no vote.
Because
if you
abstain,
if you abstain from voting, then it is not a vote. Is not a no. By not participating, it does not count in the no column, it counts as nothing.
I think you have to submit a vote, one
Yes.
way or the
If
other.
you do not submit a vote, your vote does not count yes or no.
Correct.
Because it's winner take all. If there's
I understand.
562
And
votes
But to
cast.
your point, the judge was very specific, and when we send out the ballot, we'll be very specific.
Right, yeah, okay, that's fair enough, I mean, that's, can't ask for no more than that. All right.
I got something to, oh, somebody else. Go.
Yeah, sorry, I'll be brief, and my apologies for being late.
I'm
just
sorry,
got off work.
who are you?
Oh, sorry, Tina Harvey, 28 Patriots Landing. One thing was I do support the archery. I'm a mom of a little one, and she's not able to hold a bow yet, but one day I would like to teach her how to do that in our backyard, if it's permissible. Another thing was I had a question about the deck boxes, because you showed a picture. There were two that you showed. There was a canvas tent storage facility, and then there was a deck box. Is a deck box permitted if it's on a deck?
Good question, I would think
Because
so.
we don't have a bump out or a shed, but we were thinking about getting one just like what you showed, just to put on the back deck. Nobody would see it.
Let me, if you don't mind, let me confer with the A&E
Sure.
team
Sure.
and get back with you. You said Tina?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, if I can interject here, I think you're allowed to have them. There's a height regulation, and the lids open up.
Okay, so
Like
not the
this.
kind that would open
Yeah.
out.
They open up as you can use them for a bench.
The A&E has a new rule on that, and they have the dimensions and
Oh, they-
all of that.
Okay.
And if you make it homemade,
Docks,
you
not
just
decks.
have to go to A&E and they'll either approve it or disapprove it. You'll get
Okay.
your approval, so that everything looks nice for our lake going forward, yeah.
Sure, I'll check.
So A&E, if I was to put, I'm gonna put one on my deck someday, and I have to go to I'm gonna go to A&E and get approval. Just, okay, I don't know when I'm gonna do that. I was gonna do it 10 years ago, but haven't done it yet. So I need one bad. But A&E, you just need, everybody just needs to go A&E and say, here's what I'd like to do. Would this be okay? And they've got rules on that. And off the top of my head, I don't know the dimensions.
I'll check them.
You remember Paul Carroll? I'll get to it.
Yeah, that's right.
The new POA website looks really nice. I was wondering if there was any plans or any way to mechanize the boat slip list so that I could see where I am in place. We've been on the list for maybe 3 or 4 years. And, we're kind of still in the family mode, so for planning purposes, we'd like to know if we have 2 more years or 3 more years, maybe, if that was something.
Probably, it's like a revolving door. Calling the office is the best way to update. There are some people that say just what, I've been on the list 2 or 3 years, but they fail to mention that they've been called and they turned it down. So it's just a revolving, if they turn it down, then we move on to the next person. They don't, so, we could put it on our website, but it'd probably change 5 times that day.
Okay, sure.
So
Curious.
the best thing to do is, I know that the ladies work very hard at that and kind of go down the list, and this time of year, it's a kind of a hot topic.
Sure, so no plans to make that.
I would say it wouldn't make sense to.
Okay. And then my last question was, I volunteer for a local food pantry, and I was wondering if I could put a box maybe in that front area for any drop-off donations that I could take to the pantry with me. If that would be okay, obviously nothing that would go bad, just canned goods, dry goods.
I think the fire department has tried that. It didn't go very well. It stayed empty half the time when it was promised that it would be kept filled. And then it also,
Not a blessing box.
it
Not a
also,
blessing box. Just a box for people to come and toss donations, and then I'll take them with me every Saturday if there's anything there.
oh, okay, I got you. I thought when you said a box, I thought you were
No,
talking
just
about
like just a cardboard box. And then
Oh,
if there's anything in it, I'll take it with me to the pantry.
yeah, we could do that. We've done it before.
Okay.
Yeah, just put it inside the, inside the door. We could, make it within reasonable size.
Oh, sure.
But, yeah, we've done that with jackets, coats, food, that kind of
Just bring a
stuff.
box and put a sign on?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great, thank you.
Okay.
I got
You
one.
had something?
Yeah, I've got a very dear friend that texted me and wanted me to share this. On February 17th, between the hours of 11 a.m. and 9 p.m., the Putnam County Emergency Response Team and Project Lifesaver is participating in the 15% discount at Psalms Haven, the Dine and Donate. Please mention to your server that you are dining in support of this organization to allow the discount, the 15% to get added to the Project Lifesaver.
It's not a discount.
No, it's not a discount. It's
Well, it's a 15,
donation.
yeah, it's a 15% donated to the Project Lifesaver.
Right.
Cool.
I got one thing, Rick.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Rick and Mr. Beck kind of remind me of this. Ken and I did attend the Highway Department budget meeting, and there are two local roads, but not within Heritage Lake, that are slated to be paved, and I thought I'd bring it up. If you're looking at the map, it's what's effectively called the horseshoe. So on the north side of Gettysburg, that road that heads to the east and then south, and then comes back to the west to Cannon Church Road, that's looking to be paved. And then also Cannon Church Road from Heritage Lake to the railroad track is also looking to be paved. Granted, this is coming from the Highway Department. They have liberty to change that at any time, but that was part of the budget meeting, and having driven that, going to Greencastle, that's a pretty rough road, and I think it'll be well received that that's getting paved.
Very good. Thank you. Anything else? Anyone?
I'll throw this out. Last year, there were several locations where people had complained about the vision was blocked due to brush and weeds and such like that. So if you go back and look, if you guys go back and look at where the complaints were last fall, they would maybe be something I'd write down right away and say, let's make sure we get those without having to wait until we get turned in again this year. So if you go back and just review last year's complaints, that'd be a start of where you might want to start on cutting brush in order to have good visibility at the intersections.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll take a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. See you.
Biddy, thanks for.